All right. So this morning we're going to make linguine carbonara. I have pulled some ingredients together, some mise en place. So let's run through our mise en place this morning and just talk about our ingredients before we get going. So our very first ingredient is, so bring the camera down so you can see what we're working with. Pancetta. It came even cubed up for me. This is what my package looked like when I went and purchased, ordered it up. So pancetta, it is a pork product. It comes from the belly right here to the pork belly area, so that area doesn't have to work very hard, and of course is marbled with some awesome fat, and fat equals flavor. So we have our pancetta prepared, all mise en place for ourselves. Our next ingredient is a cup of a vegetable of choice. So you guys voted, and the big winner was spinach. So I have taken a measuring cup and packed in my spinach for a measurement's sake. And I want to just show you that you want to always stop and make sure if you need to wash or it's already washed, things like this. So this has already been triple washed, and I don't have to worry about washing this or spend time and labor working on that. So I got that washed and taken care of already. So that can be done. The next thing that we need to look into getting together is it talks about some bacon drippings or vegetable oil. So based on how much fat this produces, if it doesn't produce enough, I would have some olive oil just hanging out ready in case I need it. And I am going to need it when I preheat this pan. So actually, now that we're just talking, I'm going to just turn this on kind of a medium-low setting and just start getting that pan hot, getting the pores open so that everything doesn't stick to it. The other thing that I've done is I've already gotten my pan, my water started and boiling here so that we don't have to wait and watch water boil. So that is happening, and we're getting our pan ready and preheated for when we cook that pancetta. So that's rolling. The next thing it tells me is I need a teaspoon of red wine vinegar and 3/4 cup heavy cream. So 3/4 cup heavy cream and a teaspoon of red wine vinegar. This heavy cream and the vinegar go into the pan at the same time. So I am just going to go ahead and take my red wine vinegar and measure it right into my heavy cream. Now, this red wine vinegar has a function in our recipe. It brings brightness and acidity. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to make this heavy cream a little thicker. It's kind of almost turn it into a buttermilk almost, except for it has a different flavor profile because we use the red wine vinegar. So we prepared our 6 ounces or 3/4 cup of heavy cream and our vinegar. Check, right? So we got that done. The next thing is 2 garlic cloves minced. So we're back to our garlic cloves minced. So we need to get 2 of those out. And as I mentioned in the past, it is nice to adjust these types of recipes to measurements because garlic cloves, as you can see here, come in all sorts of different sizes. This garlic was purchased at the grocery store, and they're a little bit smaller versus if I had purchased these garlic cloves commercially from a restaurant food supply. 1 garlic clove would be like this big already. So I'm just going to take these 3 and get them all prepped out for me. So I'm going to get that hard outer crust off, a little outer shell, and then I'm going to use my microplane to mince it up just to save me a little bit of time in mincing. And again, in the business and at home, and time is money. So generally, I don't purchase whole garlic cloves. I generally will just use the pre-minced garlic that already comes prepared, and I'll just measure out a tablespoon per garlic clove instruction. Because this part is the worst. There we go. If you have any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your questions today. I've shut down the chat box because I cannot read that and cook at the same time. I got a little impatient. I just went ahead and crushed a little bit so that I could get the outer shell off. Perfect. Throwing things around. Let's get to mincing. So we could take this over to our cutting board and mince it up, or we could just use our microplane and get the job done real quick. This is the one I kind of crushed a little bit, so I'll have to deal with my little pieces. All right, wonderful. We can get all of our garlic, because that was the point of all this. So we've gone ahead and we and then we move to our next ingredient that we want to make sure that we mise en place. So we're looking for 2 eggs. Okay. My direction tells me to crack these eggs and whisk them up with my Parmesan cheese. So I'm going to do that. So I want to stop and talk just a second about Parmesan and remind you that we're looking for, you can get the shaved kind, right? You can get even a little bit of a blend like I got here, or you can get the shredded kind. You can get that kind. But I do suggest of not doing the stuff that you shake on top of your pizzas, that powder that's dried. I'm not looking for that kind. I'm looking for more the kind that is like fresh shaved or fresh shredded. So we're gonna go ahead and measure out our 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. Now, I don't really care if it gets a little bit over, right? So we'll get that going in there. And it also tells me in my directions that I'm going to put my pepper in here. And it says whisk it up. So I'm going to whisk it up. And that's it. I don't have to get too obsessive over it. No biggie. Okay. So I have that ready. Now we're moving forward, right? We need our linguine noodles. So I will tell you that generally your package is going to come in a 1 pound package, 16 ounces. And you're going to want to just peel 4 ounces out of there in order for this. If you cook the extra 4 ounces, I will tell you that it will be too much pasta. You won't have enough sauce to go with your pasta. So you do want to peel that out. And if you want to weigh out the additional 4 ounces, you can do that. Or you just can pull out a quarter. So if I were to take this pasta here, And I wanted to just pull the 4 extra ounces out, which I've already done. I'm just going for like the amount of a quarter in my hand. So that would be my 4 ounces. That's what I'm doing that. So we got that ready. And now my last thing that I got to prep out is a teaspoon of fresh parsley. So I have that over here. And this is my fresh parsley. But team, this one, when we look at this one, this says wash before use. So I went and I rinsed this in cold water. And I shook it off really good. And I kind of patted it with a paper towel so that it was dry and ready for this demonstration. Now I have all of this beautiful parsley, and I'm just going to take the plant part right here, and I'm going to leave all this stem. I don't want the stem. I just want the plant. And I'm just going to take my thumb and forefinger and pull it off. So go ahead and make a pile. But these stems are awesome for making things like chicken stock, which I have to do later today. So I'm going to save these parsley stems for my chicken stock. We just go through and we grab the parsley leaf part. This is and then this is the cut we're going to use. We're going to do herb cut. So you'll see in your directions it says a fine herb cut. A fine herb cut is where you get to, closer if I can, where you get to this is the challenge here, guys. So like burn things. All right. So this is where you're going to anchor your blade right here. Bear with me, I have to move my computer so that I can get you closer. There, no, I'm not gonna hurt the cord. All right. All right. So we have our little pile of parsley, and I only need a teaspoon, so that's why I didn't take the whole bag and clean the whole bag. So this is where we anchor the tip of our blade through there. We place our palm on the spine, and I got my proper knife grip. This one is if you're feeling lazy, you can totally do this, but I'm always just up there where it belongs. And then we just start passing over. And the instruction wasn't a medium or a large herb cut, it was fine. So this is going to take a couple passes. We bring it back together, we pass over it again. So this is what an herb cut looks like. This cut is not meant for everything. Okay, this isn't what we want to be doing with our onions. We want to just be making proper cuts with our onions. We don't want to have to do this. This is something we would never do with basil. All right. So we've prepped out all of our ingredients now. And I'm going to just stop using my blade to scrape on this. And I'm going to grab my bench scraper and pull the parsley together. So this is an activity that happens in the restaurant every single morning. We make a big old pile of fresh parsley and we put it into a container and we hold it on the line for garnish. All right, so this is now ready, and this would just hang out on the line until we need to make more. This is our fresh parsley garnish that we have set and ready for us. Back to the zone. Back to our mise en place zone. So now we have everything prepped and ready, and we bring ourselves to our directions. It tells us this particular recipe reads in a large, heavy saucepan over medium heat. Because this is a saucepan, isn't it? This is this is a saucepan, but in my business and in my life, I have never made a sauce like this in a saucepan. So I'm just going to what I know and what I'm comfortable with. So I'm going to work in my saute pan. Now all the pores in this are nice and opened up, but we want to make sure that it's non-stick. So we're going to give it just fill in all those pores now with just a little bit of oil and properly prep this pan so Miss P doesn't scrub, because I hate scrubbing. Scrubbing isn't my thing. So here we go. Yay, cooking sounds. Get a little closer. So my flame is kind of that medium. I've mise en place a small little dish to put that in, because it tells me that once this is crispied up, that I need to set it aside. So these little pancetta bites are totally in the same area as bacon, but they're not smoked. That's why bacon is a perfectly acceptable substitute here. You would just use your lardon cut if you wanted to do that, and make awesome little pieces. Otherwise, your pancetta already comes cubed up like this, and that can save you time and labor too. So that's ready for us. And our directions are, we're going to reserve the fat from this and wilt our spinach in it. Just get those a little crispied up. They're like awesome, chewy little flavor bites in our pasta. And then while that's happening, I'm actually going to just grab this roll of tomatoes sitting on my counter, because our first batch from first hour, we totally determined that it just needs a little more color. So that's happening, and I'm multitasking over here, just dicing up a tomato really fast. All right, you can see this is changing. You can see it's getting cooked up. We're just moments away from done with this. At this point, do you have any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask away. No, I'm not going to cook this to like dark brown here in this pan, because when I put it in this side dish here, it's going to continue to kind of carry over cook and finish kind of in that side dish. So we don't want like to make bacos. We don't want to cook it so hard, so crazy done that it is just dried out. We want them to be like little chewy goodness bites. Okay. So I'm just going to reserve that fat by letting it drain off to the side here. Press on it a little bit, get more out. And then we just go ahead and put it in our side dish. So you can kind of hear it sizzling. You can still see it sizzling inside of here too. So it is continuing to kind of carry over cook. All right, so that's prepped and ready. And then we're going to take our washed and prepared spinach. It's important in this stuff that if you wash this at home, that it's dry, because if you throw wet spinach in here, it's going to splatter really bad. We're going to wilt this spinach just a little bit. I'm going to take those tomatoes that I put down just a little bit. All right, see how it's just, the spinach is all wilted now? We've unlocked that anti-nutrient, so now we're going to be able to absorb all its calcium and iron. And it's going to be just awesome. So, but we don't want to continue cooking it really any further than this, so we're going to just go ahead and take it off. So we just put it in a side dish, and the directions told us to. And we move on. We don't have to putz around and wait or anything like that. We need to go ahead and start our noodles. So I got our noodles prepared. These are going to take anywhere between 8 and 13 minutes. Our water is already ready to be boiling. We got that part, and also we want to salt our water. We want to go ahead and salt our water a little bit, because if we salt the noodle water, holy cow, that is way too much salt. Don't put that much in. All right, that's way better. Okay, so if we salt our water right now, it's going to flavor that noodle and make the noodle taste great, taste better, actually have a flavor. Where if we don't salt it in this step, our customers are going to go ahead and try to like shake salt on the outside of it, and there's no amount of salt that they can add to this that is going to make it taste as good as if we had just salted the water in the first place. And then we're going to be forcing our customers to consume way more salt than is good for them. Okay, so we salt the noodles now to keep them from over salting them later. All right, back to the pan. Our next step tells us to just take a little bit of oil and cook up our garlic, okay? Because the taste of raw garlic in a dish is very, I would describe it as a really green flavor. It's not super appealing. So you do in these cream sauce pastas with garlic, you do want to cook this garlic a little bit and get that caramelization, get the sugars released in it, and make it not taste so green anymore. So we're going to just go ahead and brown and cook up that garlic a little bit before we drive forward. Make sure you stir your pasta noodles as this goes, so that they don't all stick together, because that can be a hot mess. All right, so you see how this went from a white beige color to now it's got some browning on it, and we know we've knocked off that that icky green that the garlic can have to it when it's not cooked up. Our next step tells us to go ahead and add our heavy cream and our red wine vinegar. So we're going to try to bring this up to temp, get it to kind of boil up like this, and then we're going to reduce our heat real low. Okay, so look how the vinegar is making this heavy cream a little bit thicker. We incorporate the garlic throughout it so that it has wonderful flavor in that sauce. And now that we're going to just try to bring it to so it's got a little rumble all the way across. Right now I only have rumble here, right? So I want that rumble to start happening. Here it is. So it's rumbling all the way across. And then this is the place now where I know with my low heat, I'm going to take my eggs and Parmesan cheese and add it. But we want to stir, 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 because we're not trying to make scrambled eggs in here. We're trying to make a lovely thin sauce. So stir, stir, stir. Keep that temperature low now. And let's make a nice, lovely sauce. I'm going to switch to my whisk, away from my spatula. You can see the cheese is melting. My pasta's coming along nicely. All right, now that I've gotten my eggs kind of throughout this, I'm going to go ahead and just turn the temperature up just a little bit on my flame to get the cheese to kind of melt. So this is a little bit of a temperature control game. And in the restaurant, we make giant batches of this and we hold it in squeeze bottles. And then when your order comes in, we've already got the noodles prepared over there and we've portioned them in little bags. And then your order comes in and then we just take our squeeze bottle of the sauce and we add it to a saute pan and heat it all up together for your individual portions. All right. So now we have this, and I see a few little chunkies in here, huh? So I'm gonna just take a little bit of my pasta water, and I'm gonna just use it to thin it out just a little bit, and make this a little bit smoother. So you can kind of see it makes a transition happen in your sauce. Noodle water. Your noodle water is like a miracle worker in your kitchen. In your sauces, I'm gonna just add a little more. All right, this is making a lovely thing, right? You want this so bad, I bet. So we have this ready. And like I said, in the business, we take this and we put it in a squeeze bottle and we individually make each portion of pasta. So we don't make this per order. We make it in giant batches and then hold it in squeeze bottles for the pasta sauce. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of trying to demonstrate that for you guys today. I'm going to just take a vessel and I'm going to go ahead and transfer it into a vessel so that you can see just an individual portion come together. And I will tell you that in this spot here at home, this is where you have permission to go ahead and add all the noodles at one time if you want. Or you make this sauce and you hold it separate like this. And then you make yourself 4 different individual portions. Maybe people are coming home at different times. So that's where you do this. And then we can go ahead and we can add our pancetta to it. And we can add our veggies to it, which we're not going to add to this. We're going to add our pancetta to this part of the sauce, but we're going to hold until it's time to come to the saute station. So now we have prepped, ready carbonara sauce. We have our noodles that should be al dente now. Let's check them out. I'll show you how we check that out. And so what we do is we don't throw noodles against the wall. What we do is we just bust them open with our hand and we look straight inside of it. So if you look in here, you can see that there's kind of a white center, and that tells me that it is just ready. So it's got like that noodle color on the outside and then a little white dot on the inside. It's not focusing. There we go. So you see the little white dot on the inside? That tells me it's al dente, it's ready. Otherwise, the white dot would be huge in the inside. So now we're going to pull our noodles and we're going to drain them off. Okay, so bear with me while I drain those off. So in some of your first jobs, you're going to get some prep jobs. It might be to take these noodles and portion them with a portion scale and put them in bags so that when the orders come in, you have all the noodles ready. So what would happen is the expo would call across to me at the sauce station and say, hey, we need a linguine carbonara. And I'd be like, great, I'm ready for you. And I would take 4 ounces of this sauce here. I would take 4 ounces of my sauce and I would put it into the pan first. And then I would take the veggie that would be prepped and sitting on the line, and I would take a portion of the veggie and I would get it put into my sauce. And we would warm this sauce up because the sauce would be cold, because it would be a TCS food, right? Right. Okay. Once that sauce kind of got a little bit bubbly and ready, then I would take my portion of noodles that are already bagged for me because we don't want to overserve customers, right? And we would add it to the pan. And yeah, we work in tiny little pans like this when we're making your individual pastas in the restaurant. So then we just, actually, we would take our tongue when we're working with this and we just start moving it around. Right, getting the noodles coated and hot. And then we would call down the line and say, hey, send a plate set up for me. And the line would send down plates. Can I be ready? Thanks for the plate again. All right, the line would send down a plate and it would be sitting all happy. I got my nice hot sauce now. And I would start taking this and I'd start turning it. Turn it and I turn it into this beautiful little ball here. And I transfer it right onto here. And then I take my block and I pile all that beautiful goodness right on top. Lovely. And then this goes back out to the dish pit. And then we take a little garnish. Probably a little bit of Parmesan cheese sitting on the line. Right, just like that. Some fresh shaved parm. And then our prepped parsley, this is where it comes into play. And then it goes out with a spoon. So just like that, that's how fast with pre-preparation, you can prep something in a saucepan for another time, or you can see just how fast class that you can whip up this pasta and make it for your whole family. So this is a beautiful plate. This is how it should go out. Notice I kept the perimeters clean. It's got lots of pops of color and it has some great nutritional content. We got our protein, we got our veggies, we got our fruit vegetable of a tomato, and we have our carbohydrates. We even got our dairy. So this is a completely well-rounded plate. Okay, and with that, we will enjoy it.